Hello, it's Anna Pacheco, SantaFe101.com. My guest today is Gwendolyn Rogers, and she is with the Chamber of Commerce in Carizozzo. Gwendolyn, I have your permission to record this interview.
Yes.
Well, great. Well, terrific. So tell me a little bit about, we spoke about this before I hit the record button. You have some interesting topography and just you live in an interesting area. So tell me a little bit. A lot of people don't know this, but New Mexico is the volcano state, not Hawaii.
Oh,
So we
exactly.
have a lot of dormant volcanoes. None of them are active, but we have serious volcanoes all over the state. So tell me your connection to that in your neck of the woods.
Well, our neck of the woods, we have what is called the Valley of Fires, and it's one of the major lava flows in the continental United States. It's located less than 10 miles outside of Carizozzo on Highway 380. And I'm sitting in my home office, and from my window, I can see Little Jack Peak, which was the source of the actual lava flow. It's open to camping. It has a wonderful trail, walkable trail, and it has great dark skies, which is one thing we're really proud of in Carizozzo is our dark skies.
But there's no type of lava or any evidence right now. But why is it called, what did you
Oh
call it?
yeah, it's amazing. It's just acres and acres and acres of black lava on both sides of the highway, and it's not all BLM. Part of it was private property. Um, and you can see it as you go down 380 on both sides of the highway. It's magnificent.
And people can camp out there. They're very
Yes.
interesting. So tell me a little bit, so people that are watching this, like what would be a major, are you in the southeastern part of New Mexico?
We are south central. We are located in the Tularosa Basin, which
Okay.
is the largest inland basin in the United States that does not have an above ground water source. It originates on the other side of White Sands, and then it drops down to this Great Sonora Desert, and it runs all the way through Carrizozo to about 90 miles north of Carizozzo. And it's a flat, we have mountain ranges on both sides. We have the San Andreas and we have the uh, not Santa Rita Cristos, Sacramentos, which is where Riadoso is located. So from my home, which is in the basin, and we are a high desert, is our topography. It's very dry, it's very desert like, with some grasses, it's rangeland. And we have what we have in Carrizozo that a lot of New Mexico is lacking is we have an abundance of palatable water. We have wonderful source of water, and it's from the underground streams of the Tularosa Basin.
And you're saying it's deserty there though, but because you have so much water, is there a lot more greenery than you
No,
find in other parts? It's still not green.
no. Right now we're in a severe drought, and as I look out my window, it looks like winter. The grass is all brown, but the yuccas are blooming, and we have antelope, um, quail, but it's the farther north edge of the Great Sonora Desert, actually.
And that comes up from Mexico, correct? The
Correct.
Sonora Desert. Okay. And then how far are you from White Sands?
We are 70 miles from White Sands. Well, really a little less than 70. It's 57 miles to Alamogordo. And then you leave Alamogordo on Highway 70, and you go out to White Sands and Holloman Air Force Base. And we have a lot of traffic. The intersection in Carrizozo of Highway 54 and 380 is one of the busiest in the state of New Mexico.
And why is
So
that?
uh, a lot of truck traffic, a lot of tourist traffic. We're 38 miles from Riadoso. We are 35 miles from Lincoln, which is the birthplace of the legend of Billy the Kid and is the most well preserved town in the American West. It's part of Lincoln County. Our chamber serves people all over Lincoln County and into Otero County. So in little bitty Carrizozo, we're pretty prominent. Um,
And we say little bitty Carizozzo. What is the population of Carizozzo?
1,000, around 1,000 right here in the city limits. When you get outside of town, there are several hundred other ranchers and, like myself, folks that live on acreages that are not inside. We have one large developed area called Valle de Sol, and it is annexed. It is part of the town of Carizozzo.
And so you are the director of the Chamber of Commerce
I am the
presently?
president of the Chamber of Commerce,
Okay,
yes.
so let's talk a little bit about the chamber. I mean, there's only 1,000 people there. How big would your chamber be?
Our chamber, pre-COVID, was around, oh, I would say 70 active members. As you can imagine, we're trying to get that back because it was, well, I just, as a business person myself, refused to go knock on doors and ask for money when folks were closed and couldn't do business and were struggling. And now, recently, we have had a real influx of folks moving into Carizozzo. We have several new startup businesses. We have a new restaurant. We have a great pizza place. We're getting a pharmacy, which is extremely exciting. Um, so there's a lot happening. We have over 40 resident artists. So we're a real budding artist community and a lot of retirees because we have such a wonderful climate.
And is the infrastructure in place for retirees? I mean, do you have good medical care, or do they have to go to Ruidoso
We
or?
don't have a hospital, but we have Ruidoso, which is 38 miles. We have Almaguerdo and Gerald Champion, which is 57 miles. Um, we have a great clinic. We have a dentist office. Um, it's not too difficult for travel considering this is New Mexico. And if you live outside of a metroplex in New Mexico, you're a long way from anywhere. Uh, we tend to call Carizozzo not the middle of nowhere, but the middle of everything because all roads virtually lead here. Um, 380 from Interstate 25, 380 from the Hondo Valley, 54 from 25 eventually, all the way to El Paso or the Mexican border. So it's a busy place. About 5,000 vehicles a day pass through Carizozzo on Highway 54.
And so tell me some of the new businesses that are coming, some of the startups. So you mentioned a restaurant, you mentioned a pizza place and a pharmacy. What are
Yes.
some of the other businesses that are now coming to Carrizozo?
One of our restaurateurs has opened a small market. We don't have at this time and haven't had for a couple of years a grocery store. So we travel 20 miles to Capitan or we go, to Ruidoso. So we're real excited about him opening. We have fresh produce. We have other things because we have a large Allsup's truck stop, which is new. We have a Family Dollar, but we're getting a new pharmacy. It's some young men from Las Cruces. They've had a pharmacy in Cruces for 10 years. They had a satellite they opened last year in Deming, and they've chosen Carrizozo for their next satellite. Um, so the cost of living is just can't be beat for somebody that's retiring. It really is very low. Um, we have, well, Valle de Sol. If you buy property out there for a home or buy an existing home, it's city water, it's fiber optics, and it's electric. All there.
And what is Vida? So is it like a new housing development or what is that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And
What is the
there are
average cost of a house out there? Do you know?
the average cost of a house in Valle de Sol is probably around 80,000 to 200,000
Wow,
would
that is
be my guess.
coming from Santa Fe here, that is very
Oh
affordable.
yeah. Well, in Carizozzo right now, there are 3 homes for sale. That's it.
That's because,
There's a large renovated vintage home. There's a small renovated adobe, and there's another small adobe on the other side of town. Everything else is sold. It's amazing. I counted 12 new families in the last 90 days.
And why do you think people are moving to Carrizozo? What is it about Carrizozo in addition to the lower cost of living?
I
What
think
else
it,
is attracting them?
a lot of artists uh, come to Carizozzo, and they bring with them their own business. So there's most artists are self-sufficient. The ones that have come here, we have we're getting ready to do a page because that's one of our promotions is that we have over 40 resident artists, and it's the cost of living, it's the wonderful landscapes. Uh, we have New Mexico's largest photo art gallery. We have 3 other major galleries on 12th Street. Um, Before COVID, we had several events a year. We're getting ready to start those up again. We do World Art Day in April. Then we have Carrizozo Arts, which has their own website, and they do an art festival. Um, we're starting a page to highlight all of the artists on the chamber website. We have a wonderful chamber website, by the way, in case you haven't viewed it, uh, to give validity to the promotion. Oh, here are the artists that live here, and we will network with Carizozzo Art and the galleries in that website.
And who are the people? Are these artists? Are they selling their wares, their work, their art on the internet, or do people come through Carrizozo? Are they marketing in Rio Doso and people drive from Rio Doso to see it, or
People do
how
drive
are
from Riadoso. Um, they do sell from the galleries here. They sell online. Some of our more prolific artists, Suzanne Donizetti, exhibits and sells her art in Santa Fe, has been represented by a gallery, I believe, in Florida. Um, we have Rick Gary, who is a renowned artist and illustrator. He's done work for Mad Magazine. You can look him up on the Carizozzo Arts page. His wife is also an artist. They've been here probably 12 years. So these are people that are here and are established, and a lot of them work with our new library. Um, Less than 5 years ago, we opened Carizozzo Public Library. It's the first public library Carizozzo's ever had. So we really are getting a lot done. We're home to the Lincoln County Historic Society. We have a local museum, which is run by volunteers, and you can imagine in a town this size how difficult that is. Uh, there's like 14 worker bees. But it's lovely. And I'm originally from Oklahoma. My husband's from here. I've lived in Lincoln County for 30 years. And if I'm going to live,
what type of business do you have?
I'm retired from the state. I was the instructional coordinator in Lincoln for Lincoln Historic Site for 10 years. My husband is retired from the corrections department. And if I'm going to live in New Mexico, this is where I want to live. There are lots of beautiful places to visit in New Mexico, but this is it's just home, and it's small town. It's small town in that we know everyone basically, but it's very sophisticated because of the influx of people that have contributed to the local fabric here. It's amazing.
And you were saying you do own a local business, or you do
I
not?
do own a local business. It's called Soul of the West. I've been in business for 9 years. We sell vintage cowboy boots, vintage and designer clothing, art, and antiques. And we're located right on Highway 54 in Carizozzo,
And
right in the middle of town.
is it the same thing for you? Are you doing sales, people coming through town, but also the internet, or how are you doing your marketing?
Most of my marketing is, I had a vintage market for 6 years, which was one of our events. I do have a website. Uh, the things that I sell really are kind of a hands-on thing. I want people to try on the boot, and I want them to be happy with the boot. Um, and like I said, I've been in business for 9 years, so we must be doing something right.
You
We have
are.
a lot of customers from Riadoso. We have repeat customers and regular customers from Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Texas, Alamogordo. Uh, I have repeat customers from France. So it's everybody here works really hard at making the experience of coming to Carizozzo a positive one, because we
Well, I
want
think
people to love it.
your proximity to Rio has to really help because they
Oh,
they
it does.
they have a tremendous influx of tourists year round, and then they have part-time residents, and I bet
Yep,
a lot of them want to go to Carrizozo just for a change of pace and
they do.
the artists and different things. So I think strategically you're pretty well located.
We
What
are
about so what are some of the services that if somebody's new and they want to move to Carrizozo, what are some of the things the chamber would offer a new business in town? What can they help them do?
we can help you find your we can help you find a place. We're really big on relocation, on assisting residents and businesses. Um, we have a very progressive town government right now with an amazing city council and mayor. And for example, the folks that were thinking about doing a pharmacy here, they came and they went to our clinic, and the girl at our clinic said, "Oh yes, we have a need, but you really need to speak with our mayor, who is also a retired pharmacist." And then he showed them every possible location. They come to me and I get on the phone and I find locations. We have Otero Electric located right here in Carizozzo. Um, so we're pretty just hands-on. You just come to town and somebody will find somebody to help you. That's the nice thing about a small town. You don't have to surf the web for 30 minutes trying to figure out what am I going to do when I get there. Just go to a restaurant, go to Soul of the West, the museum. We have a caboose, which is our visitor center. It's open on weekends. Uh, Carizozzo was came into existence because of the railroad. The railroad was coming through to El Paso, and they needed a town. And then when New Mexico became a state, in order to be a county seat, they said you have to be on a railroad. Well, there was no train in Lincoln. So the county seat was moved to Carrizozo. And it had a heyday in the 50s and 60s with military installations that were nearby. And that kind of dwindled and the town started to dry up. And then the artists started coming to town, new businesses started coming to town. So we're on a real rebirth here in Carizozzo.
Oh, that's great news. And then in terms of, are there a lot of brick and mortar places available? Like people want to have
Yes,
storefronts, they don't have to build anything?
no, there are lots of available storefronts. In fact, the former grocery store is available and it's a fabulous building. I believe it's 5,000 square feet. Um, has a new roof. It's all new inside. And I think the price on it is $100,000. It's on
That's
Highway 54, which is getting ready to be totally redone right through the middle of town starting this fall. So that's another thing that Chamber is working on. It's called Passport 54, and it's a project to keep businesses and residents and visitors engaged through this construction, which is going to detour a lot of traffic off of 54. And they'll come down probably 12th Street. And some of my members have gone, "Oh my goodness, what are we going to do? We're going to lose our revenue." I said, "We made it through COVID. We can make it through Highway 54 project. And it's going to be beautiful because we have a historic business district. And because of that, the highway, it has to be a lot, it grew a lot as far as the project because it has to meet a lot of criteria because it's going through a National Historic Business District. So it's
Oh,
going to
that's
be
great.
beautiful.
That's something to really look forward to. You were mentioning that it's a great place to retire. What about young families? Are there schools in Carrizozo?
We have a wonderful municipal school. It's small. Um, its rating has steadily increased over the last couple of years. And several of the new families, residents that I spoke of earlier, have moved here with school-aged children. Uh, which is wonderful because that's what it takes to keep a school alive, you know, is young families, and that's what it takes to keep a community alive. And our library is a great asset in conjunction with our school.
And is the school, what is it, grades 1 through 12, or is it elementary, or what is it?
K through 12.
Excellent.
K through
So,
12.
so that would be an incentive for young
And we
families
have
moving.
an athletic program. So it's a very nice school. It's a beautiful campus.
Well, it sounds like Carizozzo's on the up and up. We're at the end of the interview here. Are there any types of, because you're part of the chamber, and maybe somebody might be watching this interview and they're thinking of moving to New Mexico, and maybe Carizozzo would be on their list. Are there any type of businesses that you could really benefit? I mean, something more than other right now. What would you like to see in Carizozzo? What would be needed right now?
We need a grocery store.
Okay.
We really need a bank. Wells Fargo pulled out of Carizozzo and Vaughn. And so we could use a bank, but we definitely could use a grocery store and other small businesses, other startups, you know, other small galleries, small retail, because we have the traffic and we have places for these businesses to go into. They don't have to build a new building. We have an artist in residence program. We have a historic preservation program. There's just a lot to offer. And like I said, all you have to do is come to Carizozzo and knock on a door and say, I'm interested in coming here. Who do I talk to? And 14 people will raise their hand.
Oh, good, good. Well, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to post all of the information on the chamber along with this interview, and I'm hoping that you might get a few calls, you know, because of this interview. Is there anything you want to end with here?
Just thank you so much for contacting us. It was a pleasure.
Well, and best of luck to you, and we'll stay in touch, okay?
All right, Anna, thank you.
Thank you.